Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the official trailer that came out for season 3 of The Boys. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. Don't know whether this is going to be a trailer discussion or thoughts and theories. That's kind of me figuring it out afterwards. But regardless, we got some really interesting development, understanding of what to expect from this season. First and foremost, we are getting a even more unhinged Homelander. Don't get it twisted. Homelander's always been unhinged, but I think he's always had something to kind of ground him in the previous seasons, whether it's Madeline manipulating him or even Stormfront manipulating him. It's like the women in his life have a tendency to kind of ground him the most anyway, because obviously he butted heads with Mr. Edgar a lot in season 2. But it was like, at least, so he's always had someone standing in his way. And even, like I said, with the Stormfront thing, it was kind of her manipulating him, but also them kind of being on equal footing. And it's like, right, he's kind of back to being alone because he's surrounded by people who can't trust. The only person he has a decent relationship with in the 7 currently is Black Noir. Everyone else, Starlight, Maeve, A-Train, he can't stand any of them. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Makes for, as we see, a very hostile environment, and poor Ashley is going to continue to probably most likely continue to lose hair this season because of the stress of just everything related to him. But I love that he's just, obviously they splice together all that footage of him being like, yeah, I got with the wrong person and I'm going to show the world who I truly am. Like, just the PR lines he has to repeat over and over and over again. But also, the fact is that he makes a point later on in the trailer, and I thought was so interesting, when he's like, I showed people who I really was, and they still love me. I think he's got this complicated relationship with the public. It's like, he wants them to hate him, but it's like, even when I try to do stuff to make you hate me, I'm such a lovable hero that you guys excuse it. And I wonder, is that supposed to be like a commentary on, like, right, how, I mean, the entire show's kind of built around this commentary of, celebrities are treated like gods, like they could do no wrong, and it's like, oh man, you did something after, oh, we'll forgive you, in more ways than one, whether it's from a legal standpoint, whether it's by a public reception standpoint. I think that's kind of an interesting development, and we're going to probably see him do more deplorable stuff publicly, and you're like, wow, you did that? How are you getting away with it? It's like, people love me too much, and it almost seems like he hates that people love him so much, because he has a lot of internal, like, issues with himself. Like, he hates himself, and that's why he looks for love in everybody else, and that attempts, whether it be Madeline or Stormfront, which he's laying in what I'm assuming is Stormfront's hospital bed, because there's a bed with like blood on it, so I'm assuming that's supposed to be her bed. So like, maybe she did die in between season 2 and 3, or maybe they tried to save her but couldn't. So I'm curious to see what happens on that front, or maybe that's just him taking her away somewhere else to fully recover. Whatever the case may be, I don't think we saw any Stormfront in, so she might not be in this season at all, or maybe in a much smaller capacity because she's full on off being Darth Vader to put in a suit and stuff on and like that, maybe. So we have that element to the trailer. Obviously, the boys have kind of split up. Frenchie's off with Kimiko. They're kind of enjoying themselves. MM is off with his daughter, and he's at that, I think he's at her birthday party, and it's like, oh, here she is, dressed up as a superhero. Because MM talked about it a little bit last season about his father's fight, but he didn't want to get into it too much. I wonder if it's going to be a season where we kind of learn a little bit more of what was MM's dad's fight with Vought, and ultimately what happened. Especially because he is trying to be more there for his family and kind of put this all behind him, but is eventually going to come back. And I think then we'll probably get more story elements there about that. But you also have Butcher, who is apparently taking orders from Huey, which I think is kind of interesting, because we're kind of, it seems like this season we're kind of doing it again, where it's like Huey's kind of taking charge until Butcher comes back, but now Butcher is here and Huey's the one kind of dishing orders, because I'm assuming it's kind of a situation of, I think he's kind of part of like an oversight committee that Victoria, what's Victoria's last name? It's like Newman, right? That Victoria is kind of like in charge of. So I guess like they kind of have to take orders from him. And I even love that Mallory's kind of like cracking jokes about that, and Butcher being like, don't that hurts most of all about the fact is that he kind of has to take orders from Huey. But like I said, we see later on that Huey's like, right, my way of doing things isn't right, so we're gonna have to do your way of things, because the cards are always stacked against him. No matter what they do, Vought is such a beast and machine that they can never really fully topple it. So now we're introducing super drugs. So we had seen in a teaser that Butcher had powers, but it seems like they're super drugs that give people powers temporarily. Granted, there's going to be a situation of those are going to probably like have major side effects, but for Butcher it's about finally evening the playing field, especially after the whole with the Homelander situation. So which I love that MM's like, right, you're basically, we talked about the fact is the reason why we fight so hard is because no one person should have this much power. And so now it's that slippery slope of like, right, we were the normal people plus a superpowered person, that being Kimiko, against these tyrants. And now we're complicated. The complications are arising because now, well, actually two, because you can't forget about the honorary member being Starlight, Jesus. But it starts getting down that slippery slope of like, right, when in your need to fight a monster, you might end up becoming a monster yourself. Might feel like that's the only means of beating said monster. So it seems like that's going to be the lane that Butcher ends up going down. I do like to see that, like, obviously it seems like he has checked in on Ryan from time to time, and Ryan's super happy to see him at one point, even hugging him. So he might play a bigger role this season too, or maybe he pops in and out, and maybe he might be a key factor in this, maybe even dealing with the whole Homelander situation. But it seems like the main person they're using that for to go after Homelander is actually Soldier Boy, and I wasn't expecting that to be where his story is, that they unfreeze him, then unleash him to kind of be the one to take down Homelander. So that's fascinating to know that, but I don't know if that's always going to, I don't know if that's going to go their way, what role Edgar's going to play in all of this, because we see him trying to talk to Starlight about basically, the real power is being able to bend people, which bend people to their will, which Vought has done a really good job of doing that. I was going into this believing that Soldier Boy was just going to be like, right, the asshole version of Captain America, which we kind of already got that with John Cena's Peacemaker, because he even said like, oh yeah, like play a douchebag Captain America. He's like, got it. But they were playing, at least like, we've gotten to see that because of the show Peacemaker, we know that that character has redeeming aspects to it. We'll see whether or not Soldier Boy has any. Probably doesn't. Stormfront sure as hell didn't. Homelander, you felt sympathetic to him up to an extent, but other moments you're like, nah, you're kind of a horrible monster. It's going to be interesting to see. But going back to his powers, when they first kind of awaken him, he shoots out a beam, and I think it hits Kimiko. But it's like, oh, so it's not just a super soldier thing you got going on. Like, you actually shoot, I guess maybe absorb energy and shoot it like a beam. I don't know. Like, so it doesn't seem like you're just going to be like your typical, like, like, once again, the Captain America equivalent, like, oh, you're just a super pump fighter. It seems like you do actually have, like, straight up superpowers too, so that's definitely interesting. I did bring her up earlier. The whole Victoria angle is going to be interesting too, because at what point in the season are they going to find out about her being a soup? Where's her ulterior motives? Why did she do what she was doing? What is she planning on getting out of all of this? Because it seemed like she's trying to take down Vought too, but could it be that she's trying to take down Vought because she's trying to like take it for her own, or maybe build a competitor from the ashes of Vought? She's going to bring about something new, and she's going to play the Edgar role. It makes you wonder, are we going to find out there's some connection between her and Edgar? Because obviously she's if she's got powers. Not unless we find out that the drugs have always existed and she's actually been taking them, and that's how she got superpowers or something. I don't think so, because there's been too many like deaths for that to be a thing of like, oh, she was like, it seemed like there were powers she's always had. Maybe she's just someone that escaped Vaught's sight somehow, Maybe she was a rejected superhero at one point in time, and that's why she wants to bring Vought down, because she was rejected before and found her own way. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because I think we'll probably get to know some of her backstory this season to find out, once again, her big motivation. So I'm so pumped for this season. Obviously, these are just some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What are some things you want to see from this season? What are some things you expect to see from this season? Let me know. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.